Hey, how you doing? Okay, that's not right. All right, you spend years. Jeff's shaking his head at me. I wish you guys could see it. He's like, you spend years paying for that truck. Don't throw away thousands when it's time to move on. Whether you're trading up, cashing out, or calculating your ROI, not that my mouth works or anything, knowing your truck's real value can make or break your next move. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we'll see you guys on the other side of this. You know what we're doing. I can't help it. We got to do it.
Paying too much for trucking insurance? What if you could save more by making one simple phone call and keep more profit? You could very well do just that with one simple call to Seabright Agency, 800-366-6466. Call now.
Now here's a question that all owner-operators and small fleet owners should consider. What happens when you access the unrivaled advantages that are available through the ES Advantage program? We asked Jeff and Charlie from Contractors Corner to share their thoughts on how they've been able to utilize the discounts and services that are a part of the ES Advantage.
So we started looking for a way to save money on fuel. And we were turned on to the ES Advantage program for fuel first. So we got a hold of Jeff Reese, and he ran us through that program. And man, we were starting to save. And then we started talking to them. Well, we saw their website and we said, Jeff, what's this thing about insurance and accounting and
Right.
You lease trucks? What?
Right. And that's the thing is we only knew it as a fuel card. And when we started digging deeper, I mean, we ended up getting hooked up with an insurance provider, Seabright Agency, and they created an entire insurance program just for us and our people. And from that, we've learned that, now there's even more potential. There's a greater opportunity. And it's completely opened up our eyes and broadened our vision into what it is we're trying to do, which is help people do better. Wrapped with the ES community just makes that process so much easier.
Now, if you're an owner-operator or small fleet owner and you would like to learn more about how you can drive savings to the bottom line of your business, the ES Advantage program has the discounts and services that deliver the kind of unrivaled advantages that are designed to help you improve your overall operation. Get connected with the ES Advantage today.
And I'm out going to let Jeff run the whole show.
Charlie hates dead air.
Dead air. What's up, man? All right, everybody wants to know, where's Jeff at?
Napoleon, Ohio. Pick up
Napoleon.
another load of cabinets tomorrow.
All right.
Going to a construction site that I've been to once before.
All right. The
Well, at least I
obligatory
know.
Chris
at
Hamilton
least-
was first.
So at least I know where I'm going this time.
Right. That's helpful. That's the
is.
one you backed into that you weren't supposed to back all the way down into. And they're like, how the heck did you do that, man?
Yep.
He was just
So-
there when they showed up. He's like, here I am. They're like, what the hell?
Yeah. So here's my prediction. I'm going to stop at the top of the hill like I was supposed to the first time.
Yeah.
And mark my words, they're going to recognize me and they're going to be like, oh, you're that dude. Yeah,
bring
can
it
you
down,
take
bro.
it down to where you had it last time? And I'll be like, nope.
No, you won't. You're going to be like, yeah, I got this. And then it's going to take him 47 pull-ups and 92 just filth, filth moments.
Here,
It'll be
hold my
great.
Gatorade.
Right? Oh, man. Donna was second. Craigbot was third. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Life on 18 Wheels. Trucker Tim. Matt Nissen, good to see you. Did I say Ida? Ida! I just like saying Ida's name that way. It's weird.
So get this out of the way first, Charlie. I screwed up the times on this last week's class.
Oh, that was awesome.
So I don't know if anybody showed up when they were supposed to, as according to the schedule, but I showed up an hour late because I thought that I clicked a button that wasn't clicked.
I did him one better. I forgot it was even Saturday, and I didn't even show up.
Yeah,
That
that's pretty
sucked.
sad when even my partner doesn't show up.
Right? My bad, bro. I apologize. I felt horrible.
So we rescheduled session 3 for next Saturday, 4
Jeez.
p.m. Mountain Time.
That was great. We're
So
on it some days, man. It's like some days we're like, woo, look at us. We're professional. And the next day we're like, clown show.
technology, man, technology. Speaking of technology, where do you figure out what your truck is worth, Charlie?
Well, there's lots of ways we can do that, and we're going to get in the topic because Jeff is driving me forward. We're going to be talking about, why resale value should be a part of your buying and maintenance strategy, the surprising truth behind trade-in timing, right? How proper care and documentation can boost your truck's long-term value. We've been seeing the used truck market drop drastically, right? A couple years ago, man, that thing was through the roof. And I mean through the roof. Hell, you could literally go out and buy a brand new truck or trailer that day, put it back out in the auction sale market, and
make money.
darn near double your money.
Yep.
On a trailer, you could triple it. Having never even pulled the damn thing. And the used truck market was, insane, for instance, right now, Chewy's might be worth $5,000 because there's so many used trucks.
What year is it, Charlie?
07. Yeah.
Because the Coronados, I did look at it while I was eating my dinner. The Coronados seem to have kept their value a little bit better than the Cascadias.
Yeah, and those square fronted Pete's.
Mm-hmm.
Those tend to hold, you know what I mean? Because people are like, screw it, I'll just hold on to it till I get the price. Right? I mean, that's reality. But the overall market itself, has plummeted. Back then when it was high, I literally could have got $40,000 for Chewy. I bought Chewy, 1.4 million miles before what she's at now for $42,000. And I easily could have sold that ugly beast that I love so very much for $40,000 during that peak. But I was like, I'm making money. Let's do some things, But yeah, so, your mileage, your year, spec choices, things like that, look, I think you can get a premium for a manual these days for some people. Maintenance records, accident history, reputation of the make, if you're, I don't know, let's say you're driving more recent 680 and everybody knows that they can't even hold their body parts on. That might be part of the factor. And yet people love them and they're like, I don't care. And then they yell about the body parts falling off, even though they knew beforehand.
They're a beautiful truck. In the showroom.
Go ahead.
They're a beautiful truck in the showroom.
Oh yeah. And so here's a funny thing. Some things that I've seen. You can have a truck that is, and it goes both ways. It's odd depending on the people looking to buy it. You can have a truck that's absolutely beautiful on the outside and junk on the inside. And there's a market out there. Those guys are like, I'll pay a couple extra bucks for the shiny outside. But if you're me and Jeff, you're like, I don't really care what the outside looks like. If the inside is like custom and beautiful and clean, and okay, that's more where I care because that's where I'm living all day.
Yep.
So which market, depending on when you're trying to sell it, really could change those values. We got graphics. I should put that up. I can't see that one. Oh my God. Bear with me. I forgot to pull it up on my other screen too, so I can see it because, who needs that? Where'd it go?
I don't know.
You quiet down. There it is. Now I can see it. Oh, of course it pops over here in front of everything else. Why not? So, high mileage, poor maintenance records. That's a killer, right? incomplete or missing service history. Like I have every service that a caveat. So I don't necessarily have printed service history on Chewy for the last 2.5 years. What I have is notes on service that was completed and parts that were replaced because I didn't have a big shop that wrote out invoices and all that thing. I had like a mechanic, right? Anyhow, but other than that, I have everything from before that point. Hey me, thank you, sir. He said he'll be watching the replay tonight. Thanks for all you do. Just wanted to give a shout out to my 2025 Western Star 57X with APU. There you go. Look, got to throw it up on the screen because the man's throwing money at us. And look, I can't even argue with that. I appreciate it. I love you, man. But incomplete or missing service history, right? You can tell someone that, oh, bro, I replaced the motor 6 months ago. And they're like, okay, cool. Let me see the paperwork. What'd you replace it with? What'd you rebuild it with? What kind of warranty are we talking about? Things like that. And if you can't prove it, you might as well have a 4 million old mile, motor. You've got no.
See, that's one of the mistakes I made, Charlie, was when I left Swift, I did not print out all my maintenance records on that 16.
Right.
So I've got no proof. Now
And
it's got a
trying to
million
get
miles
them
on it.
afterwards is like a no-go.
I've got almost a million miles on it. My oil samples are going to show a solid engine, but I've got no proof. So that's going to hurt my resale on that truck,
Right.
by probably half. I'm going to have to sell it as is. And you all know that you just don't get any money off an as is anything.
I just said, my uncle told me that you should never buy a pretty truck if you want to make money. Get an ugly one that runs. That's kind of my philosophy, honestly. I mean, look, I think this one's not ugly. I mean, it's basic and whatever, but not my buying point.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Freightliner. Everybody knows my thoughts on that because of the reliability, ease of finding parts for them. Typically, depending on the parts, one boxes for a while were like, oh my God, but they also weren't having as many one box problems.
Right.
Doing things to handle that, mitigate those types of issues. Back to our list: accident, damage, or poor repair work. If you just took a couple of aluminum strips and drilled some holes and popped some rivets to fix that cracked hood, probably not going to help. I mean, it might be great enough. And look, I saw one that was like zip ties. They drilled holes and zip tied the fender back together.
They stitched it.
Hey, yeah, right. It works to get you somewhere, but if you're trying to sell it, don't try to sell it that way. It's just unless you're just trying to make money on it.
I've seen two real special trucks, and they were newer too. They were like maybe 22 or newer,
right?
With the black industrial tape across the top of the hood, on top of the sleeper, right?
Oh yeah.
Now you know what happened there? They hit trees or something and punched a hole. And instead of getting it fixed, they did the old industrial tape thing,
right?
Which will seal the hole, okay. But are you going to buy that truck? Probably not.
Right? You may look for one that's not quite so, neglected.
Yeah.
Speaking of neglect, interior neglect or excessive wear. I mean, if you might not want to drill 42,000 holes in your dash for your various appliances, right? Find a way that you can affix things. Like I use those. I had some. I took them into the truck the other day. Those little 3M plasticky looking heavy duty Velcro things.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then I use a little Loctite gel super glue to actually affix those to the dash. You can actually get those off even after you super glue it without screwing up the dash. I mean, you're going to need to armor all the hell out of it after you remove that stuff. But here's also a funny thing. Like if I was going to sell the truck off, I would actually leave those on the dash because I think they're good placement for phones, GPSs, other devices. And the way that I did it is I have 4 of those tabs that some of them are super glued down because of the heat and it just wobbles, whatever. And eventually the glue pops off of the tape. But I also have a Lexan disc that's affixed to the top of those tapes, which fits most standard suction cup bases.
Yep.
Solid design. I mean, my big old tab, it's funny. I keep looking out there like, oh, like you can see it because right there. My big old tablet that I have, attached to my dash just above my cluster. I mean, that's a heavy sucker.
Mm-hmm.
And yet that little setup I'm telling you about works phenomenal. And I can show them, look, man, I mean, we could take it off. I could pretty it back up for you, whatever you want. Or we can leave it because I think it's helpful. Your choice. Heck, I should charge you extra for that. In fact, if you want me to leave my little mounts in there, you're going to have to pay me an extra $100. I'm just saying, because those are all custom built, right? But yeah, so don't, if you're trying to sell it, fix what you can, make pretty what you can, right? Because people look at that and they're like, well, what else did they kind of abuse, right? I mean, there's a point where people are thinking, well, okay, at a certain point in a truck's life cycle, there's going to be some wear here. Maybe the, floor mat doesn't look quite right, whatever. I mean, but make no mistake, that is dropping your price. Because I'm running if I'm buying, I'm running a tally, right? I think that's $50 off. I think that's $100 off. I think that's $1,000 off. Unpopular specs or brand reputation issues. As a Life on 18 Wheels, International. Not a popular. I mean,
not a popular truck.
Look, it works for him. That's fantastic. But looking at the overall industry and the percentage of trucks that had problems, it was a risky move. It's working out for him so far. So, good on you, sir. But yeah, I mean, all these things are affecting that resale value, and they all kind of weigh into it. And it really depends on what the buyer's motivation is, right? I mean, like I said, Jeff and I might look at the interior versus the exterior, whereas other people could care less what the inside looks like. It's all about the bling on the outside, and which is crazy to me, but whatever. And, if you can make them both beautiful, do it.
To me, if it's not going to help me rest or help me make more money, I don't care.
Right.
I mean, I'm not one of those pride in your ride guys. I'm not.
Yeah.
And I know that some people on here will be like, oh, you're an idiot. The last time I actually watched that 16 was, Charlie? Probably in about 2018.
Right.
Just because, I don't know, it just doesn't matter that much to me.
Right.
The truck ran solid till it didn't, and I ran it until I needed to park it. That's all I cared about. Now, that's working that operation over there at Swift. There are carriers, and if you have your own numbers, you might feel this way. That clean truck is a must.
Right.
Depending on who your customers are, they might appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's helping you make more money, right? There's a reason for it, not just pride in your ride.
Look, Rosie just washed the Freightliner last week. It was hilarious, right? And that was the first time that I can remember in over a year. Like, I almost walked past the truck a couple times because it wasn't my truck that I remember seeing 2 weeks ago, right? It was kind of a weird thing, but whatever, I'm not. I had talked about taking them to get washed, and I was like,
Well, when I lived in Oregon, driving that I-80, I-90,
right,
in the wintertime, I would take it to the coin-op wash rack in Longview, Washington.
Yep.
And knock the salt off. I would do that. But as far as like Blue Beacon, what is it up to now? It's like $70.
I don't even know, man.
Wash and everything.
I had a good deal with my kids. I paid them $100, back when I had my first lease truck, and a little bit on Chewy. I paid them $100, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those kids washed and waxed the truck and polished tires.
Okay.
Dude, had him up on ladders. Like, OSHA would be like, oh my God. It was great. It was fantastic. Taught him how to use a buffer. They still did it all by hand. It was hilarious.
Okay, Henry Ford.
Oh, bro, whatever. It worked. And then they grew up and they're like, nuh-uh. It ain't worth $100 for them to split 3 ways. Right? Because that was the other thing.
I could just see the look on Richie's wispy bearded face going,
right.
You're out of your mind, Dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Craig's like, I haven't washed my new truck yet. Well, I haven't had it for almost 3 weeks either. Yeah, Craig's been having all kinds of problems with the front end of his Volvo, and yeah, we've had a whole long discussion about that, and that's some crazy stuff. And I don't know. Does anybody know Volvos well enough, like the brand new Volvos? There's a thing that I have a question about. Typically on, I don't know, my Freightliner, because I know them, the U-bolts on each side of the steer axle are the same U-bolts. It's not a special U-bolt set for the left side, a special U-bolt set for the right side. I would assume that that's the same across most makes and models. I could be wrong. So I'm interested in input if you guys have it. We don't have an exact answer, but whatever. Oh, Matt's getting his new truck on Friday. That's awesome. Good for you, man. Yeah, child labor laws, Chris. I know it, man. All right, but I mean, so here's the big question for this segment. What's the biggest value killer you've seen on a used truck, right? And God, for me, it was timing. 100% timing. Like, even in the worst shape I had Chewy in, I could have made a bundle off of it at the right time. And I was like, no, gonna hold on to it because I'm never gonna get me a new truck with an automatic. Son of a.
He actually used those exact words too.
Yep. Probably with the same accent. Let's get into when to sell, trade, or reinvest, right? And this can go a lot of directions, so hang on, because I'll say something just like you're an idiot, and that's fine. How to calculate current versus future value. The future value thing to me is a tough deal, but I have a minor strategy for that. When it's smarter to trade early versus run longer, right? And depreciation timeline and what to expect. So we actually have a graphic for that. I should probably put that up right from the start of this thing. Of course, I gotta open it on my other screen again because I can't see this one over here because it's too tiny. There it is. So this is a kind of basic overview on what you can expect, on the truck's depreciation right up front. Year 1, 20 to 30. I actually think it's a little higher than that because
right now it is.
A new truck. I mean, as soon as you leave the lot, man, you've taken a big hit, right?
Well, and keep in mind that the new truck market has not gone down.
Right. But I mean, statistically speaking, that first year, 20 to 30 is what they're saying. 2 to 3 stabilize, but still 10 to 15% annual decline. Years 4 and 5, it'll hold better with maintenance proof, right? And that's where, I try to keep maintenance records like they're the scripture. Sorry if that offended anybody. Years 6 through 7, you find a sharp drop off. However, I think that there's a caveat there. I think it depends on what it was. Square nose Pete, older truck, way higher value than what they even bought it for initially, right? I mean, I've seen them out there, much older Pete's, for instance, that were, they bought them back in the day for 30, 40 grand, 50 grand, brand new, right? Mm-hmm. And now they're worth 180.
Yeah.
because of the collector's value and the appeal and the lifestyle and all that,
Well,
right?
especially now that the square nose is just gone.
Right.
They're not making them anymore.
6 to 7 years, sharp drop off without upkeep, right? And key is clean records and timing the value, right? So here's my thought on a little bit of this. How to calculate versus current versus future, right? So typically what we see in the freight cycles traditionally goes hand in hand with the used truck sales cycle, right? We get this. Let's start where we are right now. For instance, truck markets in the tank. There's too many trucks out on the road, not enough freight to cover. Rates are low on the freight side too, right? People are
Yep.
like, I can't make it. I'm selling my truck. I'm just trying to get out of here. But so is 10,000 other guys on the same day.
Yep.
If you're looking to try and get out of a truck, I mean, hopefully it's a paid off truck that you're trying to sell, right? And you're not just floating this, but in particular on a paid off truck, you may do better to hold on to that used truck, park it, find something else to do, whatever, go back company if that's what your plan was, or find a new industry or whatever your other plan is, go do that, but keep that truck parked and maintain it while it's parked. Okay.
Mhm.
Because eventually as the market slides back up, that used truck market starts shrinking because everybody's rushing to get in at the peak. And this is when you see the market typically show the highest values on the used truck market, is as that supply starts dwindling because so many people are trying to jump on the gravy train. And here's the honest truth to that. You're too late getting in. Most of those guys are too late getting in on that. And we saw that during the COVID thing in this last crazy peak. These guys bought $100,000 trucks for $200,000.
Yep.
They're so upside down on them, then it dropped and they can't get rid of them.
Yep.
A $200,000 truck from that little stretch is worth like 70 right now. And you're like, I can't get rid of it for that. I'm just going to hold on to it forever, and blah, blah. And you end up dying. And most of those guys are financed to the hill on it. So they're having to make payments and it's just nonsense. So if you're watching the freight markets, I think the top of the freight market, you'll see the truck market rise kind of along with it, just behind, just ahead, what have you. And keep an eye on it. You want to try and find that sweet spot. You don't necessarily want to sell at the top per se, but somewhere where you're more comfortable letting loose and you're thinking, hey man, I made a buck. The other side of that, also think about the tax implications of selling that truck if you've already depreciated it out, because now you're looking at capital gains tax on that vehicle. So make it worth it. You know what I mean? What do you got, Jeff? You got anything to throw in on that? Because that was a mouthful right there.
No, you did good. I really want to hit on that depreciation though. So for instance, my 2016, let's say I sold it for 10 grand. I would owe the IRS about $3,500 on that truck.
Right.
Why? Because I depreciated it down to zero. So that should be part of your calculation, is the tax that you're going to have to pay, because capital gains tax is different than your regular income tax.
Right.
And it changes with, quite frankly, Charlie, it changes with whoever's in office.
Yeah.
Typically it tends to be higher when the people with the D behind their name are in office, and it tends to be lower when an R is in the office. So not 100%, but it does depend on who's in office and what the current tax situation is. And that's why you need to have an accountant to tell you, hey, this is what it's going to cost you if you sell it for that amount of money. They can tell you right away based on what the current capital gains is. Charlie's typing.
It was I had to share. Yeah, what Jeff said. I totally threw myself in a squirrel moment there that was hilarious to me, but would not have been appropriate in any way, shape, or form. So I had to send it to Jeff in the background because I had to get it out so it didn't come out of my face.
Good job, Charlie.
See, I can evolve, kind of.
So what's the next section?
We're
'Cause I
getting
don't
into
have the thing.
maximizing your truck's value, and we've actually touched on some of this.
Yeah.
The importance of documented maintenance, cosmetic upkeep, and final detail prep. Right? I mean, put in some elbow grease here, man. If you're really trying to sell it, do what you need to do to, kind of up that look. There's a couple of products out there. There's a weird balance to this, though. It's almost like an art form, right? You want to spend enough that you get enough value, ROI on every dollar, right? That
Right.
it makes sense to put that work or that piece or what have you on. I mean, if it's not going to up your value, it's not worth it. There's lots of lower cost things you could do that draw the eye and become visually appealing to people, and that's fine. Whatever. Like I said, there's those people out there. That's what they're looking at. When it's
Yeah, I know that like with IEL, if you look at their MRP trucks, they're
Right.
detailed inside and out.
Right.
I asked about that one time, and they pay that, at least in Phoenix, that detail company that they have doing the truck detailing. They're only paying like $100-120 per truck for that.
Right. Well, they got a sweet deal that we know for
Now,
sure. But they
got a
also have
sweet
that huge
deal
volume.
for sure. But the company that's doing it's working on the volume, obviously.
Right.
But let's say it even costs you $300 to detail the truck inside and out. Well, if that increases the perceived value of the truck by $3,000, I think it's worth it.
Right.
Versus my dirty butt truck sitting in my driveway right now, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I lost my spot. Cosmetic upkeep, final detail, tools, valuation platforms, resale prep checklist. Yeah, I totally lost where I was. I apologize. To basically what I've been saying is, balance out what you're going to put into it to try and get out of it, right? I mean, look, I saw someone at one point literally do a whole engine rebuild and sold the truck for less than they spent on the engine rebuild. Sorry,
I remember years
kind of
ago
pointed out.
listening to Bruce Mallison talk about that once. He said, if your engine needs a rebuild, sell it first if you're going to sell it, because you're not going to recoup the amount of the rebuild out of that sale price.
Right.
You're just not. Better to sell it for $15,000 instead of $40,000, because you're going to be upside down on the deal if you go for the rebuild. Let that guy spend the money on the rebuild. They know what they're buying.
Right.
So given that, you can either make 15 grand or you can spend 45 to sell it for 40,000, right? And so you lost $5,000 on the deal.
Right. What a bummer.
So he was saying any type of major maintenance, if your plan is to sell the truck, just sell the truck as
Right.
is. Now, if you're planning on keeping it on the road, let's say, you do an engine rebuild at $1 million. So that an engine rebuild is going to last you about another $800,000 to $1 million, right? If you plan on working the truck, then absolutely do the rebuild, because you're going to recoup that money by working the truck. But it's good money after bad if you're trying to raise the sale price of a truck by doing an M frame.
Oh, just to go back real fast. I put the question out there from the last segment. Have you ever waited too long to sell? What did it cost you? 35 grand for me on Chewy. Just
Yeah,
saying.
probably about that on mine too.
So I still have Chewy. She's not looking good. I'm sad for her, but whatever. Florida sun, man.
The other thing to think about, guys, that interior too. You guys know that I did that custom interior on mine.
Right.
It is not a bolt interior though. It is not,
Right.
professionally done. Talking to some of our people that know a little bit more about buying and selling used trucks, the best thing I could do, Charlie, is just rip that whole thing out and sell it as is.
Right.
That would actually increase the value of the truck.
Yeah.
Because
It's
my
crazy. Unless you
interior
find
is,
that one guy.
yeah, that one guy that's also trying to run a coaching business from the road and needs a desk and a monitor and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes a very niche marketplace for that,
Right.
So, I mean, you got to think about things like that, replacing seats, pretty standard.
Hmm.
You can get some okay seats for not a lot of input versus selling them the one with the great big holes and rips and stains in it, right?
The big old cigar burn.
Right.
Right
Or,
at the crotch.
right. Or that spot in the seat back where, I don't know, a pistol may have been rubbing for 10 years. I don't know. You
Yeah.
get that weird hole in the back and people are like, how did that even happen? You're like, don't talk about it. Yeah, just replace the dang seats. I mean, that's usually a good spot. So the big question for this one is, what's one thing you do to keep your truck ready for resale now? And typically speaking, our live audience typically aren't looking at resale and things like that. Most of them are either in a lease that they may or may not buy out. Again, depends on what the market's doing, right? If you have a balloon payment that's, 80, 90, $100,000 for whatever reason, right? And you could get the exact same truck on the open market for 50, I'm looking at the $50,000 truck.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about having known your truck for the time that you've had it and the maintenance and things like that. So there becomes a little bit of a coin toss out there. So, you got to weigh it all out. Run numbers. You guys know we're constantly talking about the numbers. So, but yeah, avoiding pitfalls at trade-in or private sale, right? Yeah, there's a lot here that can go bad. Undervaluation by dealers or predatory buyers, right? They're like, ha, 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 I know I can. They're just going to flip it. They're going to double it somehow, right? So, I mean, you're going to need to look at that. Forgotten lien releases, tax issues, title delays, right? You're going to lose a buyer if this stuff isn't clear beforehand.
Yeah.
Because they may not want to wait a week, a month, or year for you to get everything cleared out, and you simply need to learn how to negotiate. If you don't know how to negotiate, I suggest you read some books beforehand. Don't think you're a good negotiator, because most people aren't. We all think we can haggle and I know how to do it. I know how to do it. If you're going up against someone at a dealership or someone who really is a good negotiator, they could eat you up for lunch and you wouldn't even realize it until 2 years later or 5 minutes after. They're like, great, I got another guy coming to pick it up. That guy picks it up. He says, yeah, man, I just bought this truck. You're like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I bought it for 50 grand. You're like, I sold it for 25 to that other dude.
Well, we both know a guy that has done this.
Yeah.
Gone and told a dude, look, the truck's not running, whatever. I'll give you 12 grand for it. The dude's like, all right, I just need it out of here. Literally goes, gets his toolbox out of his pickup truck, goes and wrenches on the truck for like 20 minutes and then drives it off.
Yeah.
And the dude's like, what the heck, man? Well, I don't know. You didn't figure it out. Sales final. I already gave you my cashier's check.
Right.
I had the title in hand.
That guy tried to backstep quick out of that mess, and it was like, no, no, no. But I mean, it's a legitimate thing. Like if you're someone like that dude that we know, he knew the guy told him what the symptoms were with trucking. He's like, and I just can't get it figured out. I've had a couple, diesel techs come by and look at it, and they can't figure it out, and it probably just needs a whole new motor, and you know what I mean. And he's like, ha ha ha. I know that's a 20-minute wrench job. I don't even have to replace parts, or bring the part with you that you're going to have to swap, and bam, there you go. And that truck's value just doubled right there because now it's actually running. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Man, that'll break your heart and kick you right in the what's. Good Lord.
Well, and here's something too, Charlie. If you're like me, I'm not necessarily looking to make money on my 16.
Right?
It may come down to I just need to get it out of my yard.
Yeah. I'm so sentimentally tied to Chewy. It's weird.
Well, I just think that it's something that you need to consider.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Before you go down this road of let's hold on to the truck until the value goes up. There's a cost there too.
Right.
It's taking up garden space right now.
Yeah.
It's taking up space that I could be using for something else.
And if you're one of those guys that's paying for storage,
yep.
How long are you going to pay for storage? What's that costing you over time?
Luckily, I've got a really cool neighbor that owns a Ford Raptor, so he's all right.
Right.
He hasn't talked to me about getting rid of my monstrosity.
Other Jeff.
Yeah, my neighbor's name is Jeff.
That's not weird at all. When you hear one wife out there going, Jeff, get over here, you both run out. And you're like, what? Oh, it's yours, bro. Ha ha.
Well, that's easy because his wife is a Rosie.
Oh, geez, there you go.
So, and you could tell when she's yelling for him.
Right.
It's not my wife, that's for sure.
Not the Donna. So here's our question. Have you ever had a deal go sideways at trade-in or sale? I
would
like
say this, Charlie. If you've ever traded in and your answer to that is no, man, I did good.
You dealt with a good negotiator. He made you feel good about it.
He made you feel good about it, but make no mistake, man, when you trade them in, you're not getting the full value of that truck because they've got to resell it themselves.
Right.
I'm not saying that it's a raw deal. I'm just saying you probably didn't get the deal you think you got.
I had an amazing relationship with a Kia dealer back in the day, right? And I can tell you on one of our trade-ins, he absolutely got us more than what they put it right back out on the lot for.
Really?
Because they wanted the sale on the newer, shinier one. That bad. And, finance charges and all that, right? Because we were financing, we weren't paying cash. So, they can build in some stuff to financing where they recoup their money on something like that, right? I just question, does the market vary by area like the pickup truck market does? Example, my old diesel would go for 15 to 20,000 here. Up just north of here wouldn't go for 5 to 7. So I'm going to say what I've seen is no, that's not typically the case, with some exceptions in markets. Oil field trucks.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
But typically,
and that's going to depend on how active. That's going to depend on how active the oil industry is in that area at that time.
Right.
When they're booming, used truck prices go, and when they get told by the government that they can't pump anymore, they go,
right. Yeah.
So, but there's very few operations that are as hard on a truck as the oil fields.
Yeah, I've seen, in the Class 8 OTR market, it seems to be pretty even no matter where they are. Unless you find a smaller dealership that, they're whatever their motivation is. Sometimes you'll find that they're lower. Sometimes you'll find that they're a lot higher. You know, I think it depends on what they put into it and that kind of thing, and how bad they want money. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
anything else there. But as a general rule, what I've seen with the Class 8 resale market has been that it's pretty even across the country, because they figure they're already over the road truck drivers. They don't care. They'll road trip over here, grab this, and go back to wherever the heck they want to go.
Yeah.
You know, so that does factor in. So no, I'm gonna say that typically no, Ida.
Well, and that's the thing too, is let's take the other side for a second. If you're in the market for a used truck, be willing to fly to the truck that's the right truck. Be willing to go out there and then take that truck to a mechanic to get a once over, to get an inspection done. That's one of the things, we haven't mentioned them in a while, but that's one of the things that I really like about Aero Truck Sales.
Right.
Is they have no problem you taking a truck to an outside mechanic to have it inspected.
Right.
They almost expect it. So you're looking for a deal like that. You know, find the truck with the right specs, the truck with the right price, and then have it inspected. You know, put it on a dyno. Make sure that everything is good. It's going to cost you some money for a truck that you may end up not buying. You know, if you find problems when you put it on the dyno and you ended up not buying it, okay, so it costs you $2,500, $3,000 to do that.
Right.
But
what would it have
you
cost you if
eliminated
you
that
drove it
truck.
out of that lot and it popped?
Right. Exactly.
That's funny. Ida said in this area, if she took half the lift off, she could sell it for more. Dude, you should see her. It is so much fun to see Ida climb in and out of that.
Does she have to have a ladder to get into it?
I think she needs 4 friends, but she does it really well on her own. She's a tough girl. I don't know. I shouldn't call her a girl, but you know what I mean. We like her. Chris Hamilton said around the ports, I noticed that's where old Freightliners go to die, and Ida jumped right back in. Old Freightliners don't die; they just live on. That's right. They just find a new lane to run.
Well, and you know, if you've got, let's say you've got a truck like mine, and Charlie, are we going to get into like truckpaper.com and stuff like that later here?
Well, we should actually talk about that right now. Because that's actually part of the last segment that I forgot to drop that in. Tools to valuation, resale prep checklist, things like that, right? You know, you should be comparing, you know, like kind trucks that you're trying to get rid of. You know, how do you stack up? And honestly, the industry main pricing index is truckpapers.com. I mean, insurance companies go to truckpaper.com to see what the value of your truck is currently with the same specs, mileage, and all that. That literally is where
so I did that today while I was I did that today while I was eating my dinner, Charlie. And I was actually kind of surprised that 2016 Cascadias with similar mileage to mine are going anywhere from 20 to 45.
Wow.
Yeah. So given that I don't have any maintenance records on mine, probably 15 to 20 is what I could get for it. But what I was going to say is there's a market for that. So even if you messed up early like I did, there's still someone that wants to buy that truck. And
well, the other
lot
question,
of them are those port guys that you're talking about.
Right. But there is something out there. Look at how long that listing's been active. Because remember, we had those guys, Jeff, out there that bought really high and they refuse to follow what the market's doing. So they'll list it high, hoping that at some point someone bites. So if it's been on there 365 days, you know, maybe there's a deal to be made. Or look at the next listing, which could be half of what that one was, right? There's a lot of math. I know we all hate it, but there's a lot of math and we all need to do, you know, and what's right for my decision may not be right for your decision. But that brings us, you know, it brings us back to community and finding people that you can share and talk with about it. Find people that know more about what you're trying to learn and learn it from them. There's always someone that's at least one step ahead of you on the learning knowledge journey, right?
Yeah.
Trust but verify. When someone says, hey, this is the way to do it, go out there and find out if that's really working for more people than just that dude. Because I've seen an awful lot of people say, do this thing. And I'm like, that's dumb. That makes no sense at all. But let me go check it out. Oh my gosh, it seems to be real. Okay.
Yeah.
Or no, it's absolute crap, like I thought. Chris said he noticed that Coronado gliders hold their value. There's a weird batch of those that don't.
Yeah, it depends on where the glider was made.
Right.
There's a whole batch from I think it was Fitzgerald, wasn't it, Charlie?
Yeah.
That were just trash.
Yeah, they got screwed on a parts thing, and man.
Yeah.
Hey now, Sage. Hey now.
What's that, man?
It's so much fun. Glad to see you, man. Ida, a glider is more of a one-of-a-kind truck. One could see where they would be worth more. They are for a specific client, I believe, at this point.
Yeah, there was a while when Rutherford had his signature truck that he was trying to market, and that was a Coronado glider.
Yeah,
and they ended up with a lot of problems with it, and ended up killing the project as a result. So, the market for those was guys that wanted a new truck but didn't want to pay for a new truck,
and didn't want all the.
They were going for like 105 when a brand new truck was at 180.
Right.
So,
but they didn't have all the emission stuff because they were, grandfathered in with the old standards, and I mean, you could do really cool things. I don't know.
They were putting the older Series 60 in those things.
Right.
But the nice part about a glider is you choose every single spec on that truck.
Right.
That's what the nice thing about it was. So, Rutherford was really big on a certain gear ratio, certain transmissions, certain this, certain that. And they were able to, for about 105,000, get everything exactly the way the client wanted.
Right.
But then they ended up with parts quality issues.
Oh God, that was terrible, man. Started hearing the nightmare stories. I was like, oh God.
Well, and I reached out to Kevin back in the day about it. I said, hey, what happened with that? And I can tell you, and I don't think he minds people talking about it as long as they're truthful. There were people that were fired over that whole thing at several different shops. So
yeah. Multiple locations. Yeah, it was something else. Different vendors. I mean, God, it was just a train wreck. It was going so good too.
And Charlie, I was trying to save up for one of those things.
Right? Oh, trust me, you and I both. It was a thing. Good God, man.
Because I figured it out that within like 6 years of runtime, I could come up with that 105 if I was really careful with my money.
Right.
Yes, for those of you that are naysayers, that was when I was working at Swift.
Yeah.
I figured out how to get $106,000 in 6 years in a lease purchase program.
Right.
Just saying.
Yes.
I know that's a touchy subject right now with the way volumes have been.
With the market now, oh my God.
Yeah. When it's good, it's really good, guys.
Right.
It's been a rough couple of years though.
This week's big questions for the comments after the show, if you guys wouldn't mind. What's been your best or worst experience trading or selling your truck? And what would you do differently next time? Maybe we've given you a little more thought in the process. I mean, we can't give you super specific things to do or not do, or that sort of thing, because it's again, it's that balance thing, man. And the markets do weird things at different times. But you know, at Road Warrior Entrepreneurs, we help truckers make smart moves, not just smart miles. If you're ready to maximize your truck's value and build long-term strategies, join us inside the RW community at www.rwedrive.com. And you know what? We're going to be right back. Check it out. You're either running your business like an owner or like an employee. And if you're stuck in that employee mindset, you're leaving money on the table. Company drivers wait for direction. Business owners create opportunities. Company drivers chase miles and just drive. Business owners chase profits and know their numbers. Want to run a real business? Start tracking your numbers. Know your cost per mile and start saying no to bad loads. Drop "I run a business" in the comments if you're done thinking like an employee. If you want to take this mindset shift further, join the Road Warrior Entrepreneurs community at www.rwedrive.com, where we have profit boosting strategies, coaching calls, and real road warriors winning together. Hey now,
We're back.
We're back. So you guys know, if there's anything specific you want to talk about out from this point on, throw it out there. We'll talk about anything. I'm going to grab my chair and sit down. I'm actually a little twitchy tonight with my neck, Jeff. Oh. Hello.
Utilize that fancy desk of yours.
I'm still here. Oh gosh, now I gotta adjust the camera again, man. I need longer arms, bro.
Kilroy.
Oh, I gotta slide over here too. It's different. Oh man. Oh. So this week was short for me. I only worked 2 days and it was too much. Blindsight, good to see you. Hopefully blood, sweat, and years is adding value to my truck. It's certainly not getting any younger. I hear you. And there's something to be said about that.
Oh, yeah.
If you're taking good care of it and maintaining good records, I mean, look, man, there's absolutely smart people out there that would look at yours, even at a premium, to get that because they know everything that's been done to it. Let's just be real about that, because that's what I'm looking for. The only way I'm flipping a coin and taking a chance is if that price is just so damn cheap that I'm expecting it to blow up. If I can make it run for a month and make enough money to put a motor in it, that's actually a thought. If I can get 6 months out of it, even better. Because I mean, there's times where I've looked at that market and thought, okay, if I can get 30 days out of it of hard running before I got to replace the training because it's wonky, okay, I can make enough to do that, and only paid 10 grand for a truck, 5 grand for a truck. Okay.
There was a while there, Charlie, where people were buying those Argosies for like 10 grand.
Yeah.
And then running them for about 6 months and then doing an engine rebuild on them.
Yeah. And then getting 1 million miles out of them after that.
Yeah. So for about $45,000, $50,000, they ended up with a brand new truck, basically.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, it's doing the numbers, running the math.
Yeah, you're not going to buy a truck like that and lease it on with a mega carrier. I can tell you that.
Right. They're like, no, bro.
But if you're all in, you're a carrier, and you want to do that, I mean, crap, dude.
Right.
You got good relationships with some brokers that keep you running at a decent rate. Run the heck out of that $10,000 truck. There was a couple guys I've talked to over the years, Charlie, that they bought that $10,000 truck, ran it, then they just sold it for parts, to a junkyard, bought a $25,000, $30,000 truck, ran that for a year or two, and then bought their brand new dream truck.
Right.
spec'd exactly the way they wanted, had to wait a year to get it, but they got exactly what they wanted and did it all with cash usually.
Yeah.
Chris, my truck value went up. I replaced my Swift inverter that took a dump with the pure sign. You know what though? I don't think you actually increased your value, Chris. I think you maintained the value. There's a difference. Because if you tried to sell it with a crappy inverter in it, it would be worth less. People at this point in time expect there to be a working inverter in these trucks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you paid for that inverter, but the last pure sine wave 3500 watt I bought for the 16, I paid $600 for it. I'm just saying.
Right. But I appreciate you trying.
Look at Chris, Charlie. Chris is trying to pretend like he's just joking now.
Right.
I see how it is, Chris.
He was down the road from me this morning. I'm kind of bummed.
He?
I was asleep still.
Well, you didn't get in until almost 2.
Yeah, and it was just, oh man. And then I had to go back take a nap because it just wasn't enough. 5 hours was not enough sleep this morning. I know like local ag. Wait, I gotta put it up on the screen. I can't see it over. No, local ag guy that buys a $10,000 truck every 3 years to run them for 6 months out of the year and sit at home. The other 6 do just yeah. That's a money making over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in the ag side. Wait. Casey coughs some more. Let's and here we have the frozen Jeff face. That's so much fun. He hates it. He's like, stop it.
Well, my internet is kind of wonky today, so.
And here's the funny part. Jeff probably doesn't know which button to push to make that go away right there. Other than take himself off. Look. He did it. What he did is he removed me from the screen.
I put you in timeout for about 2 seconds.
And then he put me back up. But what's funny is if I do this again, see, he just pulled himself off the stage. But if I do this again here, you'll hear that I'm still talking, which means I'm still on the stage. You just can't see my video. This guy, he is something else. He just hates it. Look, it's so much fun sometimes. Anyhow, I know that nobody cares. That's just me and him picking on each other.
And yeah, I'm the one that does better. And yet I'm the guy that does Zoom all by myself.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I know, right? Figure that out. Trucker Tim. Oops, wrong one. Trucker Tim. I would like to thank my new DPF filters that they were put on 3 months ago, and the new radiator last year helps to maintain this. Right? Yeah, maintain.
Yep. Again, that's maintenance. That's maintenance.
Life says he's got a 3K inverter he's looking to put in tomorrow. Is that going to be a video, man? Life on 18 wheels.
I bet he actually puts it up too.
Yep. Whatever. You know what? I've had it. He's out of here. We're just done with him for the day. I'll let him try and figure out how to get back on because that's always fun. Or he'll just like log out and walk away and be like, he's like, I'm going to bed, man. You know what? No, he's shaking his head. No, we cannot let that happen. He's on a small monitor, which is fun because no real estate to make things, and you got to squint to see buttons, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I do not envy his position right at the moment.
Well, I bought this tablet that I use specifically for the 16 because I had that big curved screen gaming monitor in there.
Right.
And this hooks directly to it. So this was my power part of my system. And now that I don't have that big monitor, I'm stuck with 14 inches of real estate. I don't regret it. It's a nice machine.
I'm dying. Moving on. Someone throw up a comment. Oh my gosh, I got jokes. So inappropriate. Just saying.
Although if I'm still driving in 6 months, I might try and find myself an 18-inch. Just because. Stop it. Charlie put himself in timeout. I was about ready to.
I was dying. My head was getting ready to explode. The veins were
Oh,
pulsing.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blindside last week was actually kind of tough for me because I had to deliver, and then I was able to get on for a couple minutes, and then they were done with me, so I had to get off. Then I had to find a place to park.
Right.
Had to pay for parking, so I had to go do that, and then I came back on, and I was just all sorts of a mess.
Makes it fun. Keeps it interesting.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the trucking life, right? You just never know what it's going to be minute to minute. We like to think we know, but let's be real.
No.
What?
Laptop. Does that make it better, Charlie?
Yes, maybe,
Okay.
probably not. Hey, my light color's weird. Somebody touched a button on my light. That explains the tone difference that I'm seeing. Nobody else would notice but me. Now he's banned. That's funny. Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
Where do
Don
you guys
is
want to go right now? What do you want to talk about? I don't want to talk politics, life. Honestly, I just don't, man. I'm just not in the mood.
Oh, especially not that. No, we ain't touching that.
Yeah, I'm just sit back and wait and see everything that's happening. I'm just saying, adjust, adapt, move on. Hey now. Yeah. What do you got, Jeff? I'm leaning on you now, man.
Leaning on me. I don't know.
Lean on me when you're not strong. Never mind. That was terrible. I apologize.
We still have Sage in here, or is he gone?
So
saw him say hello, and that was it.
Right.
Because Sage is an interesting guy, and I'm wondering with his different businesses if he's seeing an increase in freight rates at all across the board or not. Because he would be a guy to ask that, Charlie.
Right. Blindside said, I just had a ABS issue with the truck, and thank goodness it was just a fuse problem. Look, so I had this crazy ECM problem one time, and we thought the ECM was dead, right? Ended up getting the truck towed. It was like $750 to tow the truck, another $700 for diagnostics. And you know what sucked about that so bad? There was an extra fuse in the line that should not have been there. Nobody even knows why it was there. Somebody added it at some point in time. It was like an extra safety step. I don't know. Nobody knew where it was until they stumbled across it while tracing power lines. And it was a 25-cent fuse that cost me almost $1,500.
Yep.
And the lost revenue for the load that I had to drop right there at the Target gate, because I couldn't move the truck. Oh God, it sucks so bad. I had to, since it was a manual, I had to put it in gear, turn the key, and get the and let the starter move the truck loaded.
Oh, that's harsh.
Out of the gate far enough because I was holding things up, and they're like, "You better move it." I'm like, "Look, what do you want me to do?" Couldn't do that with today's truck. I'm just saying.
No, you can't.
It'd be blocking the gate and they'd be screaming at me. I'm like, hey, I'm rolling up my window and going to bed, man, until the tow truck shows up. Nothing I can do. Yeah, right. Ouch. You never know who's done what on these used trucks. Like, for real. It was funny thing, man. 25-cent fuse, man. Probably not even that much. That's the dealer price, right? Good. I had the fuse in my truck. Wouldn't have cost me nothing if I'd known to find that damn thing.
So I've been really bad about keeping tools on the truck lately, Charlie. But I actually, and I don't want to hear it from you guys, I actually bought one of those full kits at Walmart in the big toolbox. And I carried that on my truck for years. had both ASE and metric tools on it.
Right.
I could do anything other than the really big oversized bolts, you know. Yeah, Harbor Freight. I bought tools there before as well.
I think I just picking on me, Jeff.
Probably. Go Ida. Go Ida.
Did you just call me fat? Did you just call me ugly?
Hey, you know, for when I first met you, that's one of the reasons I didn't recognize you. Was because your Facebook picture is like 100 pounds ago.
Well, I'm back to what it is
Or at
now,
least-
though.
At least it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny because I was chunky monkey and I still had that old picture from about 2001-ish, 2000, somewhere between 2003. Yeah, Rosie and I did a drop zone. That's kind of my Facebook jam picture. I love that picture, her and I. It's just a good picture of us. I wish I had a really good digital copy of it. I don't. It's a bummer. You know, all I can do is grab I actually have the original picture that was printed from, you know, a real film camera, you know, for those of you back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah. And if you
You're
scan
old.
it, they're still grainy. You know what I mean? You just can't, whatever. I'm not smart. What were people saying about tools?
Nobody's coming to your rescue on that.
What tools does everyone carry on their truck? Oh, right. That's a good one.
Hence my answer.
Right. So look, man, I'm a little off again. Go figure. But especially this time of night. I just talking conspiracy. I like it. Don't start that. Conspiracy. That's, oh man. I heard Jeff's actually a robot.
Yeah, the only problem I got with Harbor Freight is that I had that deal where you can get the free tool once a month out of their bin.
Right.
But I'm not home once a month.
Right.
So I get bummed out. I actually got a pretty decent angle grinder one time.
Right. I've got quite a few tools in even in this truck. Like the box on the passenger side is all tools and spare parts and that kind of thing. I don't put anything in the big center section because I got the walls up on the two boxes, right? That, and I don't want it bouncing around on the heater and all that nonsense and whatever. I don't know. That, and it's just a pain to get to. You can always visit a store nationwide, Jeff. He's not wrong. And they usually have parking lots that you can get into. But you know what? You don't think about it until you actually need a tool, and then you're like, oh, crap. And usually it's at the worst time possible. You're tired. It's raining. And you're like, call a wrecker. There you go. Have Donna go by and use your membership.
She could, because it's linked to a phone number. So,
right. Yeah, there was a time that like I think I have everything I need from Harbor Freight these days for now. Especially since I'm not turning wrenches.
Did I tell you this
a whole lot myself?
Did I tell you the solid they did for me?
Mm-mm.
The one in Tooele?
No.
So I borrowed my buddy's table saw when I was doing the renovations on the 16.
Right.
And needed to change blades, but he had lost the key for the blades. Right. Went to Harbor Freight to see if I could just buy some keys, and they were out. So you know what the lady did? She let me borrow a set off of one of the brand new table saws sitting there in their showroom.
Nice.
She said, just do me a favor and bring them back. And you know what? She made a customer for life out of me.
Oh,
just
yeah.
From that.
Look, a little bit of customer service goes a long way, man. Chris said, I don't collect tools. I collect cooking appliances. All about food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blindside. I really wonder what my well-maintained 2018 Cascadia will be worth at 1 million miles. Got another 250K to go. That may be
Right.
long enough that market's on the upswing, man.
It might be.
18 was kind of a wonky year, though. So there is that fear of people out there. You either got a good one or you got a holy crap, it was terrible. If you got the records to prove it was a good one, you're probably not sitting too bad, judging by the timeline of where we might be at that point in time. Define well maintained. I don't know. Actually doing what needs to be done, doing the required and smart maintenance and all that kind of stuff. So if anybody's looking for tools, you might want to figure out where Matt's trading his truck in for his new one next week. Because he's going back and forth between him, and he's got like $6,000 worth of tools in his truck. So I mean, that would be wrong. My bad, Matt. I'm going Matt. That didn't sound right either. I'm gonna buy me a new Matt, huh? Oh, Jeff.
I'm telling you.
Oh man. I feel like tonight should be an early night, Jeff. I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there. New trucks break too. They do indeed. Yep. And having a decent set of tools can mean the difference of sitting there waiting 3 hours on the side of the road and at least fixing something well enough to get you to a safe spot or maybe even to that shop to avoid that road call or the tow.
Hey, I just had an idea. I think someone should try to steal Matt's tools. But I want someone with a GoPro following them to do the deed.
That would be awesome.
Because I want to see the look on the guy's face when Matt goes to his full height and goes in for a hug.
He goes McGilligan gorilla on him. Just saying. Get him.
Yeah.
I think he's a great big teddy bear personally, but I ain't trying to fight the dude. He's willing me just got a kneecap right at the start and be done with it. Just not even think about it. Rosie needs to do a cooking on the road segment. Yeah. That's good stuff. Jeff's actually really good. You should see all the stuff Jeff makes. It's fantastic and fascinating. He's got a much wider variety of things that he cooks. Rosie and I do a lot of
I cooked some Cajun blackened salmon tonight.
Indeed, Matt. We're just going to leave it at that. He said, well, the tool to protect cost about an eighth of that price. Yeah. Blindside. Owners need too many tools. Company drivers need only basic set. Most companies prefer drivers don't try at repair. That's true in most cases. Look, Swift actually loved it back when I was a company guy because, you got these guys that don't even know how to replace a light bulb, and they'll make a load late because there's a light bulb out. They frowned on me multiple times when they found out afterwards that I had scaled the back of the cab utilizing the spare tire mount and, maybe stepping on the the load bar rack to get up on top of a trailer to change one of those top corner marker lights. But then they were thankful afterwards because there wasn't a road call. The load was on time and they just reimbursed me for the part. All right. But I got to say, I wouldn't recommend people do that because too many people would hurt themselves. Let's leave it at that. Purple crayon.
Chris, the air fried pork chops are on my menu for tomorrow night.
We actually picked up some stuffed chicken breasts that we were going to do on the air fryer yesterday, and then ended up doing some fajita meat instead. So we should probably do that tonight. Although I already ate tonight just before the show. Dang it. Maybe that'll be mine and Rosie's lunch tomorrow. Yeah, because they looked really good. Yesterday we did some sort of seasoned fajita meat. I don't know what. Oh no, it's teriyaki. Um, and rice and green beans, and did that all in the truck. It took like 40 minutes. It's wonderful, man. Those great
Hmm.
big Instapots and things like that are just fabulous. And it's got an air fryer in it too. So, we just changed the inside rack and it all would have been groovy. We actually cooked those breasts once before without the air fryer rack in there. And yeah, they weren't as good as they could have been because they never got crispy, right? Yeah, whatever. They were like Parmesan wrapped and God, they could have been so much better. Anyhow, OSHA would have a field day if you had gotten hurt doing that. You know what? Here's the funny thing. I wouldn't have even reported it. I'm just gonna be honest about that. I'd have been like, "Yep, I'm an idiot. I'm gonna go fix this." As long as I could walk away from it, I was good. Whatever. If I couldn't walk away, then it's a whole nother thing. And you're right. They would have got me. Holy snapples, Batman. Bro, how are you alive? Don't you stop it. I'm a
Blindside, I
paratrooper.
had an Instapot on my truck for probably about 2 years before I got the gallons 3-in-1. They work great, and the cool thing is that lid locks in place, so you don't have to worry about stuff getting all over the place.
Yeah, we got the Ninja Foodie thing. I can't remember what it was, but it's like a 1,001 pot deal, and that's what we're using now. And I really like that one. Rosie's been enjoying the heck out of it. There you go. Blackbeard's about to cook up a couple of ribeyes. That's what Rosie and I cook. We eat a lot of ribeyes, honestly, because the keto, paleo thing, whatever, high fat content, and all that. And for us, it just works. Well, for me, it works fantastic. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah, and we could cook them as full steaks. And honestly, Blackbeard, a lot of time what we do is we actually slice up. Rosie will slice up or chop up the ribeyes and throw them in there, brown them a little bit, throw in some veggie and cauliflower and mushrooms and maybe some sweet pepper, a couple of jalapenos, and then kind of let it all simmer together for a little while. Bro, it comes out good. Throw in some rice and tortillas, and man, we have something going on. And not to advocate, but
I'm
look,
big.
you can eat that while you're driving with the right people around. That sounded terrible. Bad advice. Don't listen to me. Carnivore, baby. Oh,
Yeah, I can't go that extreme.
So
gotta have my veggies.
Walmart and Publix made those ready to cook meals a tad bit cheaper. My fridge would be stuffed, right? Like they got those crock pot meals, like with the big hunk of meat and the veggies separated and the powdery stuff for the broth. And look, we used to do those a lot when we were using more like a basic crock pot type thing. And honestly, I mean, Rosie and I could eat on those for 2 days, right? If I wasn't in one of my moods where I'm just eating everything in the front of me, right? I like those crock pot meals. They were easy. You get a pork one or a beef one, and they were fantastic. They were a little expensive, but again, I did a couple of those when I was solo still, or when I had students, and it was definitely a meal for at least 2 people. And for me by myself, it was usually a meal for 2, maybe 2.5 days. And then I would add a little rice to it and could extend it, even one more meal out of it, a good lunch or something, right? What did Tim say? I have a mini air fryer and one of those Road Pro slow cookers. I like it as something to keep the lid on, but I often worry that it might tip over on a sharp turn. So I can say that with our Ninja thing, I've had to do like emergency braking with turns even. and our Ninja has not fallen over, so that's been awesome. It's got a good heavy base to it, so if that thing goes flying, we got problems. Although it seals really well too, so I don't know how much of a problem it would be, to be honest. Blind sight last week had a bunch of PM stuff done at the shop. Mechanics who moves the truck said it made him hungry. Right? I've heard that too. So like, especially I dropped the truck off, or I pulled into a bay one time, and we had just ate, like, because we're like, oh, we're gonna be stuck out of the truck for a couple hours. So we had our ribeyes and veggies and asparagus. In fact, I think that's what it was ribeyes and asparagus that day. And it smelled fantastic in there, man. And that guy climbed in there. He's like, what the hell? Whatever. That's when I used a little grill, one of those electric grills, the press type grills with the steaks. And they were fabulous, but they were very messy, man, because that was one of those problems with the grease dripping out and you didn't catch it enough. And oh, man. Those were awesome. Excuse me. Yeah,
Matt likes crayons.
Huh?
Matt likes crayons.
Well, yeah, that's his favorite flavor is purple. I'm just saying. Should have been a Marine. My dog's going nuts out there. There must be a squirrel standing out there. Can you hear him?
I can hear it.
Yeah, going nuts out there. That's typically the squirrel bark. Or barking at the other dog because they want to play and they won't play. It can be one of those two. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Come on. Come on. And the other one's just like, calm down. Beans and rice girl every meal. Beans and rice. Beans and rice.
Beans and
so
rice,
the
rice and
purple
beans.
blind sight tastes like purple crayons. That's the Marine Corps favorite snack time is purple crayons because that's the best flavor. I've also found that people typically like the purple Windex flavor as well. Stop it.
You're gonna start one of those internet challenges and we're gonna get canceled.
Right? It'll be great. Oh man. Marine's favorite dinner. See, look, it's not just us. Matt, don't forget the paste. Exactly. I don't even know where to go right now, Jeff. Hold on. I got to see what the hell.
I don't know, man. Well, that was weird. Oh, let's see if we missed anything here. Talking about food. Yeah, one of the things I like to do is I like to get my beef. I won't do it with like pork or anything like that, but my beef, if I can get it on reduced or quick sale and then freeze it, dude, that's a good day for me.
Sorry, it was just annoying me. It was a squirrel standing on the roof right outside my window, looking down at the dogs. Ugh.
Didn't you have that one squirrel that would stare at you from just beyond your property line?
Oh yeah. That me and the squirrels, we have definitely a thing. They know where the line is when I walk outside, because they might just get popped, and we'll just leave it at that. I won't. Yeah. They won't get popped if they're outside my property line. Just saying, because that would be rude.
And they know that, apparently.
They do at this point. And they seem to teach the little ones that stuff. I was absolutely fascinated by a young squirrel today. I was looking out my bedroom window, standing there in my drawers, and it was a little tiny bitty squirrel just climbing around, and then it made me jump. And you probably would have liked hearing me scream about it, because I might have yelped a little bit, because I forgot there was a window between us, and it jumped in my direction to get up on my roof from a tree that it was on, and I might have yelped a little bit. Mm-hmm. Just saying. Can't prove it though.
Like a little girl?
Maybe.
Yeah, blind sight, it's like, what is it? It's not even like 70 degrees out right now. Let me check real quick. It's 66 degrees where I'm at right now, and probably the 3 trucks to my right, they're all idling right now. And I'm just like, I got my windows down, and it's just fine.
Right? Yeah, that's what I've been noticing. We've had some really nice mornings up there in that Abilama area, and
Uh-huh.
it's not till about the third store that I worry about idling the truck because I don't want Rosie to start getting cooked, you know. But now the sun is a little higher in the sky, and it does start warming up a little quicker that way. And I can't leave the windows down completely, so I got to leave them cracked. You know what I mean? And so that's a weird thing. But the first store, the second store, usually I'm good. Don't idle the truck, just like whatever, and she's good with it. When she's driving nights, she'll stop for 30 somewhere. She turns the truck off, does her thing. Sometimes the windows are down, sometimes they're up. Doesn't matter. It's been nice, man. If it's not 80 degrees, I'm pretty happy. What?
Nothing.
There was something. I missed something, which is weird. Trucker Tim. Let's go to Trucker Tim. I clicked on it. It didn't go. I've been prepping meals for the road. Did you talk about that already?
No.
Because that's what Jeff does. He said I've been prepping
Yeah, I've
meals.
got that big IceCo freezer, so it'll haul like a couple months worth of frozen food in there. And I make so I actually went and because of the beaties, signed up for dietdoctor.com. They got a bunch of recipes on there that are all keto. And I'll spend a weekend at home cooking meals and freezing them. And sticking them in my big freezer on the truck. Is it 1,000,000 degrees down there, Charlie?
I don't know. I think Ida's possibly, yeah, it's only 85. Come on.
Yeah, Life on 18 Wheels,
I don't know if
Temple
8 o'clock
Square is
tonight.
going to be under construction until I think next year or maybe 27. It's too bad you weren't there like a year ago, so you could see what they were doing with the actual temple itself. It was kind of interesting, Charlie. Anybody that's interested in engineering and things like that, they actually dug the footings out from under that big temple.
Really?
And put these huge rollers under it for earthquake proofing.
Earthquake. Yeah.
So I got to see them doing that over the course of the year that they were doing that part of the project. It was amazing to watch. You see, like on Discovery Channel, you can see where they do that with the big buildings, but to see it in person, that was something.
So, growing up in LA, earthquakes really were a normal thing. Like it was just part of life, right? They still scared the hell out of you, but whatever. The first place that I remember living for real had no earthquake proofing in it. It was an older building, that kind of thing. When my mom bought a condo some years later when I was in high school, the first time we had an earthquake there, it was definitely one of them shake, rattle, and roll ones. It was a good one. And it threw us off because we were in the condo and it was a whole block. It was basically 4 main buildings facing each different street, gated community type thing, just in that one block. Each of those buildings was built on a roller track system that was like a cradle.
Yep.
We didn't know anything about that, but you could feel it reach its limits on the first earthquake that we experienced there. And you're like,
oh,
whoa,
wow.
And you feel it like hit the edge as it rolled back and forth. And then after the earthquake's done, the building's still settling.
Uh-huh.
That was very odd for a while. And then it became like, oh, cool. That's like, it's like a try to stand on your feet type of thing. I don't know, whatever. They still scare the hell out of me. Earthquakes are scary. I'd rather deal with hurricanes and that stuff than an earthquake, honestly. Oh, here's Ida trying to make excuses. You're on the coast. It's cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. Whatever.
Huh.
Look, I can't help it. The
In
beach
case,
is a mile.
in case anybody was wondering how old Charlie is, he is older than me. Here he is arguing with a woman about the weather. That's
Right?
how old Charlie is.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Next thing is going to be, you know who died yesterday?
Oh
Because we're
God,
getting to
don't
be
even
that
start me
age.
there.
We're starting to
Man.
get to that age, Charlie, though, where friends are getting old
Right.
and we're getting old.
It's a bummer.
You know, Dick Van Dyke is 99 years old.
That's insanity.
I was reading an article about him today, and he said the worst thing about living to his age, and he's still really vibrant. Well, I don't know if people know that, but he's still very much the same Dick Van Dyke that he's always been. But he said the hardest thing is he's outlived every one of his friends at this point.
That's a bummer, man.
Yeah.
This is a
It's
blessing
something
and
you
a
don't
bummer.
really, it's something you don't really think about, right? But it's talking about all the comedy greats that he worked with that are all gone, you know.
Right.
Just really, I find it fascinating when people that are that old actually come out and talk about aging to that point, you know.
Right.
They're like, they start talking about their life experiences. I'm one of those people that believes half the problems that we have in this world would be solved if we actually lived longer.
Right.
And I know that a lot of people, oh no, world's overpopulated, whatever. But think about it, man. Right about the time you start getting a little bit of wisdom, you're 6 feet under. You know, if we live twice as long, imagine the wisdom we would have. I'm just saying.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. Chris is 103.
That makes sense.
Right. I think he's older than that. I think he's trying to pad it personally, but I don't know. Solar flares. Yeah, me too. That's a wonky one there because we haven't had a really, really, really good one in quite some time. And I
We
think
had
the
one
last
last
really
week.
super bad one was but not. It didn't do what the worst potential is. You know what I mean? That's what worries me.
No, but it was so depending on where you were at in the country, though. The West Coast got hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Trying to talk to my friends that were over there, it was like,
Yeah.
I remember the last really bad one we had. You remember this, Charlie? It's got to be 5-8 years ago now, where just comms just got interrupted. GPS didn't work for like half the day while that was going on. That was a pretty bad one.
Oh, overpopulated my
Yeah,
foot. We
and-
still have vast amount of land we could conquer here in America.
Yeah, I point that out to people all the time, Life on 18 Wheels. It's usually people that live in the big cities like LA, Seattle,
Right.
even Portland. I'm like, dude, you need to go across the country one of these days and
For
see
real.
how many hectares of land is just nothing. Nothing. But yeah, and I'll go ahead and do this one, Matt. I agree with you. Rest in peace, Phil Robertson. For those of you that don't know, the patriarch of the Robertson family passed away, was it yesterday or the day before? Those of you that are in the Duck Dynasty, those guys. Love him or hate him, he was definitely a personality, that guy.
I honestly never saw the appeal to that show. I know I'm gonna piss people off with that one, but whatever.
I thought it was interesting. Yeah, there's studies about that. The United States is really close to zero population right now with the birth rates.
And there are
I don't know,
definitely
good
countries
thing,
out
bad
there that
thing.
are negative.
Yeah. Yeah, been a couple years now, but China got rid of its one-child policy here a while back because of that.
Right. Chris, okay, I admit, I confess, Ben Franklin and I grew up together. See, now
So
you're
daylight
talking.
savings time was actually your idea, Chris. It's your fault.
We
Is
hate
that what
you.
you're saying?
That's definitely getting them banned right there. Oh man, Jeff. Sorry, I just saw your last message just now. I'm so gone. Whatever. Jeez. China has billion plus people and still have massive untapped land. Look, that's the case. The problem though is you find these places that are deserts and water.
Technology.
You know, we're not willing to spend the money to create the technology and expand the infrastructure to support
Hey,
stuff
if
like that.
people can live on Tatooine, people can live in the deserts of the southeast.
I
Southwest.
agree. I agree.
Moisture farming.
Damn squirrel is back. Apparently, I need to walk out with my pellet gun. I mean, I didn't say that out loud. That's gonna get us canceled. Whatever. I'm gonna let you guys talk about Duck Dynasty because I don't know enough. Y'all go at it. Have fun.
I don't know. It's just an interesting show to me.
I just watched it once and I was like,
Turkey.
no.
Uncle Si's the best, man. That old coot. No, from a business standpoint, Charlie, since you're interested in business, the story of Duck Dynasty is amazing.
Right. Look, they had a fantastic.
He went from, yeah. So, definitely some talented business people.
That's what intrigued me at all to even watch the one show. And I'm like, these, what? But it worked.
Ida says she's a middle-aged woman, but she's really an 80-year-old lady at heart. I want to be in bed no later than 9.
Hey now.
Yeah, we would love to do that, Ida, but we have our little ADHD kid. Peter,
Right.
That getting him in bed before 10 is a miracle. He'll take a nap all day, though. Like as soon as we start doling out chores, he's asleep on the couch. That's his trigger. He'll go to sleep if there's chores to be done.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep.
Well, that should be the house rule then, Jeff. Anybody up past 9 o'clock, anyone awake after 9 o'clock has to do these chores.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll work.
Yeah, Trucker Tim, he actually talks about that on a couple of episodes of the show. That he was in college football, and Terry Bradshaw was his backup in college. Like I say, really interesting people. Love him or hate him, he definitely led an interesting life.
Excuse me, sorry.
No.
Don't say no.
I already did.
No. I know you're no. Oh. Okay, whatever.
A little counterinsurgency there.
Yeah.
I like to have dinner at 5. Now, the amount of times that actually has happened in my 31 years of marriage, it just, stuff happens when you've got kids, bro.
Right?
Stuff happens, and nothing ever happens on time.
I can usually count on it before 8.
Yes, we can usually get it done by 8.
You know what I mean? Anytime between like 5 and 8, it could happen. Depends
Well,
on
and
the
then
day,
get this. So, especially Pete, he wants to watch a show with me before bed.
right?
But then we don't eat dinner until 8. Bedtime's
Right.
bedtime for him supposed to be at 8. And then it's like, well, maybe you should have helped mom set the table so that we could have eaten earlier. And yeah, that goes over like a lead balloon.
Right. Yeah.
And then
Or
we've got the almost adult that thinks that she's an adult but doesn't have a job yet. You know, and she likes to stay up late now that she's an adult. She graduated from high school last week, so we're proud of her.
yay.
But she's starting to play the I'm an adult card, and we're like, oh, well, you know, adults have bills.
Welcome to adulting.
Welcome to our world. You know, she's going to college in the fall though. She's trying to get a job right now.
Right.
Hopefully she gets one soon.
It's when you hand them the electric bill or something. And well, now that you graduated, here you go.
Well, we do have, we don't do this until they actually have a job because we're not heartless. But our adult children do pay rent when they're at the house.
Right.
It's not very much. It's a token amount. But I sincerely believe that teaching them to adult before they leave the house is a service to them.
You ain't wrong. Look, my daughter moved out while she was still a senior in high school.
Uh-huh.
Right? I didn't like it, but I mean, she had a plan. She had a full-time job. She kept her grades up. She graduated. You know what I mean? And it took a while for me to get her to come back.
Yeah.
She adults well. Like, she's really good at it, I think. I don't know where she got it from because it ain't me. I'm just saying. It was crazy.
Well, you do realize how fortunate you are that you have your kids with you and your grandkids.
Oh, absolutely. Look, that's why I just pay the house bills. I'm like, whatever, just be here. I want them here. I had to talk everybody into coming here, and that's part of my deal. For the most part, I pay for everything. You know what I mean? They handle their own individual stuff on their own. That's fine. I make sure that the main things that are the hard adulting, to be honest, is covered. And from that, whatever, we can barter, we can trade, find your own cash, whatever. But I mean, John and Yasmin have full-time jobs. They work. They're good adults, man. They out adult me on a regular basis.
That's good.
I just want them to be here.
Yeah. So the almost adult Ida, by the way, she was upset yesterday because she couldn't get on Facebook Marketplace to advertise some stuff she wanted to sell because she's not 18 yet. And our response is, that's because you're almost an adult.
Right?
The things you get entertainment out of as your kids grow older,
Yeah. I remember being in such a hurry to grow up, man. You know what I mean? Because Rosie and I left when we were 16, 17 as well. We didn't just move out of the house. Like, we left the state of California, moved 1,110 miles away from our family, basically. Chris, adopt me, Charlie. No way, man. And
Charlie doesn't want to have to change your diapers, Chris.
Right. And my daughter won't do it. I barely got her convinced to do mine when the time comes, and it seems like it's still a question. I don't know. But yeah, it was man, it was something else. But it was what Rosie and I wanted at the time. We just wanted to get out on our own, and you don't see that a lot now. The next generations have been the opposite. They're like, I'm never leaving.
Yeah.
That seems to be the norm. It's the odd ones that actually, want to leave the nest and go out into the world. And they're seeing pregnancy rates, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've associated to that very thing that, well, these kids aren't moving out. They're still living with the big family unit at, well into their 20s, maybe 30s.
Yeah.
So they're not out there getting married and having kids. And so they're seeing people that are actually having kids later in life, their first kid later in life. And so, I mean, that's of course gonna. Oh, Chris got me.
I knew that would get you.
He'll bring firearms and ammo. Well, that might be worth it. Yeah, that is absolutely true, Ida. You are definitely first on the adoption list, Miss Baroness of Snails. She sent me a cool logo the other day that I love. Can I show Jeff, Ida? I'm gonna show it to him. I'll just share it with him and no one else. It'll be fine. Where'd that go? And this is very much an Ida picture, if you ask me. Let's see how it comes out.
Nice.
Right? And yeah, for those that don't know, Ida has an amusing and prosperous side gig. Selling and shipping snails for people's aquariums.
Yep.
And feeder stock. It is fantastic. Ida is definitely the Baroness of Snails.
Yeah, we don't mind having our kids at home. We kind of like it. At the same time, we don't want to be enablers, though. Like, my first daughter, she's what, 23 now? I'm a dad, so I have no idea. Anyway, so she moved back in to get her feet back under her after a bad thing happened. And so but again, Charlie, she's got goals.
Right.
She's actually saving up for a car right now. Once she has her own wheels again, she's going to get her own apartment, and she plans on being back in college in about a year.
Nice.
So, that's kind of what we look at for our kids. Do you have a goal?
Right.
Because what we're not down with is enabling you to do nothing in our basement for the next however many years.
Right.
And it's tough, man. It was probably tough on you when your kids started leaving. They're back now, but when they first left, there's that little hole in your heart. They're gone.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's necessary. It's the circle of life, bro.
Even worse. Wait, this is where it got really bad, because then they started producing children, like the first kid, right? Mm-hmm. And then we all moved to Florida, and then they moved back to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So they took them and the grandkids. Oh God, that crushed me. It was everything. That moment on, it was everything that I did was to try and figure out how to get them back. And luckily they finally made that decision, and here we all are. I love it. Got all three of my grandkids here, and I'm pretty happy about it. Anyhow, Jeff, what do you think? Let's call this thing a wrap, bro.
Okay.
Want to thank everybody for absolutely. I don't have a show topic for next week. I haven't done that yet, so I'm not even going to spill that here. There might be one in the notes, but I don't know that I've decided on that show. There's some things we want to do next month, the month of June. So I need to work that out this week, or jump out of my butt on Monday.
I'm hoping you get us a very special guest next month.
Oh, I think we're gonna. I'm definitely gonna work that in. You guys, thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the crazy brain stuff again that we can't seem to ever get rid of. Squirrels, literally, actual squirrels got me today. Like real, alive squirrel. Dirty. Anyhow, you guys have a good week. We'll see you next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time here on Tuesday. And like Jeff is about to say, like he does every week, ready, go, Jeff.
Keep that rubber side down. And remember, with no action, there is no traction, guys.
Take care of each other. And there's no one out here looking after us but us. Love you guys. Can't wait to see what I come up with for next week. Who knows? It's a surprise to me even. All right, we'll see you. Good Lord.